So, welcome to our LinkedIn Live today about purposeful outcomes. Let me start with a story right away. A passenger jet was flying over the ocean when the pilot's voice was suddenly heard over the loudspeaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I have both bad news and good news for you. The bad news is that all of the airplane's navigational systems have malfunctioned. From this moment onwards, my crew and I have no control over the direction in which we are flying, and we have no idea where we will end up. The good news is that all four of the airplane's engines are functioning perfectly, such that no matter where we are headed, we will arrive well ahead of time.
Wow. Good news and bad news. Welcome from my side too. And I would like to continue the story with a nice quote from Atticus that I love, who says, if one doesn't know which direction he or she is sailing, no wind is favorable. And our brain is just like that. So our brain is like a boat in the middle of the sea. And it's perfectly functional, but if it doesn't know where it's going, it's just gonna wander off with the winds here and there. So outcomes and setting outcomes is a very important conscious tool that we have to do when if we want to accomplish something. And outcomes, as I said, are a very, very conscious activity. If we take the metaphor of conscious and unconscious, or left brain and right brain, then setting outcomes is a very, very conscious activity. So we need to set consciously an outcome, and then we bring our unconscious with us aboard, and because our unconscious is quite lazy and it likes to be tasked. So purposeful outcomes means that we know what we want, and most of the time we know what we don't want, but it's the question when I ask a client a question, so what do you want? It's like, what do you have to say on that, Martina?
Well, when I get asked what I want, it's a tough question. So and a lot of people should ask themselves what they want more frequently than just, being asked by a coach, for example, or a trainer. And I would also like to add something with, what we want. It's I recently read a statement on LinkedIn which said, when our work reflects our values, we value our work. And that's very strong. And when I think about it, when I started working, which was a bit over 20 years ago, it wasn't so much about values or purpose. It was all about having a secure job that pays the bills. And it probably still is important, money. We still have to pay our bills, but more and more people look for purpose in their job, and they want to see the impact they have, and they want to see the bigger picture and actually want to be maybe part of the bigger picture. And what they want now is to really contribute to the company's success. They want to be part of it. And if they don't see the purpose in what they're doing, even though they know what they want, and they don't feel that their values are appreciated, they lose their motivation at some point. So going back to what I want, even when I know what I want, if the values aren't appreciated, they lose their motivation. And what I also thought about is that our values are part of our personal, social, and cultural identity. So they shape us and they define us. And I believe it's essential to understand ourselves and our values to know what we want. Because if we don't think about it, then yeah, we probably don't know where we want to go, where we're heading, and we might be feeling miserable also, when we are at a job where we are not happy.
Mhm.
And this, of course, applies also to leaders and managers. They need to understand their own values and possibly also their leadership styles, and adapt it accordingly. But it's also important to know their team members' values and what they are passionate about, what's important to them. And that way you find out what drives them and motivates them.
Yeah. As I like to say, values are our motivators. I like to tell this story. This was not planned, but I will tell it. It's my personal story. So, values, as you said, they're formed through our life, but most of our values are formed through every 7 years, and they're quite stable in our life. So, this is stable. They don't change like every year or so. However, they do change if there is a significant emotional event, something that shakes our life. And did highly value achievement. And I was very driven by achievement in my whole life. And I knew that. I found it out through all of the trainings and coachings I did. And then at one point, I had cancer. And then after the cancer, I was not motivated. I would do my to do lists. I would set goals. I would set outcomes. I would do everything, but I was not motivated. So I figured out something must have changed. And I worked with a coach, of course. And I found out that, yes, my values have changed. And my biggest value, which was my highest ranking value, which was achievement, changed into connectivity. So basically, I figured out that I thrive and I'm motivated when I'm connected to people, when I do partnerships, when I work with other people. And yeah, now this is what I do. And
Mhm.
as you said, knowing your values means that you can motivate yourself. But knowing also your team's values as a leader means that you motivate them because we're all different. And for example, a person can be motivated by going towards something, by going towards success, by going towards achieving the the end results of a project, by going towards achieving the targets. And someone can be motivated by going away, so away from losing the job, away from being unsecure. So these are really fine tunes where we differ, but knowing the values means that you can motivate your team and then be more productive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah. I was thinking about something else. When you said everyone is different. So when you work in a big team or even an international team, you can see such differences in people and values and how they identify themselves and what is important to them. And nowadays also the word diversity. Yes, we know the word diversity.
Yeah.
And I think that when you have that diversity in your team, you have different approaches and you can leverage those different ideas and approaches that you have within your team, as long as you know what they want and what they're passionate about. Because if you don't, and they're not in the position they are supposed to, or they in their job in which they thrive and become excellent, then they won't. And it will affect the outcomes, not only the personal outcomes, but also the company's outcomes and goals.
Mhm. Yeah. And companies are made out of people. And clients are people, employees are people, managers are people, leaders are people. So we need to look at the individual. We need to look at the and this is what the C.O.R.E model is all about: personal
Mhm.
excellence. So finding and taking out the best out of the person. Um, Now, all of the companies, most of them, let's say, they also have the company values.
Mhm.
And many times the company values are in clash with personal values. So we see a lot of employees or people that are not satisfied at work. They're still performing, as you said, because they have to pay bills, right?
Mhm.
They have to stay there. But seeing their values and finding out the personal values of the person and finding a way how to align them with the company values brings flow, because this is when the person feels valued, as you said.
Mhm.
This is what the core model does, because it is not only about training, but it is also about coaching, and it is about high performance team coaching and individual coaching. So we'll look into the individual and we'll look into the purpose, into the values, into the outcomes that a person makes, and then how they can be aligned with the company values and purpose and outcomes. And then we end up at something that creates flow in the team and personal excellence.
Mhm. A nice summary of what the core model can do. And it also, in terms of that culture clash that sometimes happens, when it comes to company values and your own values, this can be a big issue, especially if you have also mergers or something where different cultures already clash, company cultures clash, and then in additional having different team members, and aligning those values is probably the most important thing in order to move forward, to go into the future, and having a team and leaders that actually communicate
Yeah.
properly with each other.
Yes, and communication is at the basis of the core model.
Yes.
And yes, and we have an announcement to make, right?
Yes, we have. So on the 24th of February, this year, of course, we have our Leadership Communication Cafe. And we would all like to invite you to come and join, as we will be talking about communication, leadership, problems that you may have, or some obstacles that you have to overcome. And we would like to exchange ideas and possibly give you tips on how to improve your communication.
Yeah.
So we'd be happy to see you there, at the Leadership Communication Cafe. And if you need more information about it, we will definitely post it. Yes.
In the comments.
um, yes, in the comments. And just follow us also on LinkedIn. There will be more information coming. And for all those out there who plan an investment in their employees and want to support them and becoming the most excellent communicator, and find out more about their values and their passion, and how you as a leader can motivate your people and your team members, then please reach out to us, either by email, or we can plan a free strategy call and talk about how we can possibly help you.
Thank you for watching us.
Thank you for listening today, and see you soon.
Yes.